Yeet. Keep. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me for another modern quick match. Now nothing fancy here, just what the title says, and November is going to be packed with Death Shadow matches to hold you over until the next deep dive analysis comes out. Then it'll be a month for another deck. I'll start off with a quick deck tech, which is the same one from the last modern matchup analysis video. So if you've already seen it, or you just want to get right to the gameplay, I have included a timestamp in the description below. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, as it's a free way to support the channel. Based on metagame data, this is what the typical Death Shadow build looks like in today's world. When seeing these cards, it's important to remember that the deck does not want the game to go long, and it wants to do everything as efficiently as possible in the first few turns. Low CMCs, hyper efficiency is the name of the game here. Let's start with the namesake card Death Shadow. This deck is all about using your life total as a resource in exchange for being able to play the most power per mana spent in the format. And Shadow is the epitome of this. 1 mana for a creature that starts small and grows as the game goes on. It's not uncommon for this to be a 1 mana 10/10 after a few turns. Usually we go over the mana base last, but this deck utilizes fetch lands and shocks more aggressively than any other deck in the format, and it's a large part of the strategy. The idea is to use whatever resource possible, including lands, to get our life total under 13 to land a Shadow. We're looking at 10 fetches and 5 shocks, with a couple of basics as a necessity against Pass and Field of Ruins. In many ways, this deck mirrors traditional Jund strategies. That is, a turn 1 discard spell to make the opponent stumble, followed by a turn 2 or 3 landed threat that grows with the game and will just be bigger than theirs, and then use hyper efficient answers the rest of the way. That turn 1 discard spell of choice here is Thoughtseize, as it helps grow the Shadow and is the best discard spell in the format. Add in a couple of Inquisitions, and hitting a turn 1 discard spell is fairly consistent. Street Wraiths, Mishra Baubles, and Thought Scours provide us with more consistency through cantripping, with the Wraith doing double duty at helping out our Shadow grow. Thought Scour also has an important function in filling our graveyard because the only other real threat in the deck outside of Death Shadow is Gurmag Angler. Big Zombie Fish is a remarkable case study in just how powerful the delve mechanic is. Note to Wizards, if you print an otherwise vanilla 5/5 at common and it sees play in one of the most powerful formats in all of Magic, it's probably a sign that the mechanic on it is way too strong. This big guy does a great Shadow impression, often only costing a single black mana by himself. The truth of Modern is that a 5/5 is often just bigger than anything else the format is doing, which is why Tasigur, the Golden Fang, who used to be included in the deck, doesn't even see play anymore at 1 less power and even 1 less card to delve. So, once our threat is landed, the game plan is to interact a lot. Stubborn Denial becomes one of the best counters in the format with a threat down. Hitting creatures isn't often relevant because our landed threat is usually bigger and badder than whatever they're doing in the first 4 turns of the game. There are exceptions of course, but this becomes one of the best cards in the deck when turned on. Fatal Push, Dismembers, and a Bolt are the best at what they do for a single mana. Dismember also helps our Shadow game plan, and with Snapcasters in the mix, the fact that this deck doesn't want to go much above 3 mana in play, 1 mana removal is where we want to be. Cullen's Command is a great catch-all against problematic cards like Ensnaring Bridge and otherwise obscene artifacts in the format, and can also get our threats back in our hand, which is important because we essentially only run 8 real threats. We round out the main board with the big finisher, Temur Battle Rage. I'd argue that this is the card most opponents of Shadow decks are most afraid of. It always has to be accounted for because it is often just a one-shot that will end the game on the spot, doubling damage and trampling over any small early game blockers. So, to the sideboard, Rejections fit in nicely, as we like 1 mana answers, and this hits a variety of problems in the format like Tron, Eldrazi, Ensnaring Bridges, etc. Our Braids provide more artifact answers as well as small creature removal. Spell Snare is just great in this meta, as pretty much every deck has some amount of important 2-drops. Alpine Moon, costing 1 mana, is a big deal, and it hits against Tron and Valakut decks, with also some fringe other uses. An extra K command is great against artifact decks. Lily the Last Hope is fantastic at mowing down go-wide strategies, as chump blocking decks are actually fairly effective against us. Collective Brutality is just a burn all-star, and it's especially necessary since that matchup is one of the trickiest tightropes to walk in all of Modern. Disdainful Stroke is needed against big mana decks that are trying to do bigger and meaner things than us. Plague Engineer is one of my favorite cards from Modern Horizons, and I love that decks like this are utilizing it so much. It's a house against tribal strategies, and it's huge game against Thopter Foundry decks as well. Again, token decks can be very problematic for this deck. Finish it off with Seasoned Pyromancer. It's been getting some love as it gives us some extra game against control decks in particular. Alright, hello everyone. We are back playing some Grixis Death Shadow. This hand is okay. We do not have a threat, which is a big deal for this deck, but we do have 2 redraws and Disruption, so I think we're going to keep it. We are on the draw. Opponent mulligans to 5, which is probably a bad sign because that usually means Tron. But if it's not Tron and we can get a good hit off this Thoughtseize, then we might be in pretty good shape. Bloodstained Mire. Okay, this Thoughtseize is going to be pretty effective then, I think. We are going to need to hit a threat, but this is a good start. Bloodstained Mire cracked. In this deck, because we only are running a swamp and an island, the normally correct play for your first fetch land is usually the non-polluted delta fetch, getting a watery grave, as the only red sources that we or the only red cards we have are for later in the game. So blue and black is most important to fetch, and then polluted deltas can go get something a little better later. Okay. So it looks just like Jund, maybe? There's also those snow decks that are just kind of every color good stuff, but Lily and Ren probably just means Jund. So I think what we do is take the Ren and 6 and then leave up the Stubborn Denial for Lilies and pushes. Try like that. And then we have a Dismember backup for whatever threat they throw down, so I think this is a good start for us. Second Bloodstained Mire. Passing. Okay, well, let's start by Thought Scouring ourselves. See if we can hit a better 1-drop here. We did mull over a Death Shadow. That is unfortunate. So now we will just play a Scalding Tarn and pass. Opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire. Overgrown Tomb. And tap. Bloodstained Mire cracked. Blood Crypt. And tapped. Okay, so my guess is Lily comes here and we're going to have to Stubborn Denial that. Nurturing Peatland. Alright, we will go get a Steam Vents. Thought Scour ourselves. Inquisition is great. We can actually Snapcaster as well, but we'll just lead on an Inquisition here. Liliana and a bunch of Fatal Pushes. Okay, well, we will get rid of Lily. 2 Fatal Pushes in hand is something we can deal with. Let us just, we don't need to go too crazy here with our tap lands. So now we'll just keep a Stubborn Denial up and a Dismember. Bloodstained Mire. Alright, 2 Fatal Pushes. We just need to lead a threat. Gurmag Angler is the best draw now. And we are not hitting it, unfortunately. So we'll play a Blood Crypt and tapped. Pass the turn. We'll probably Snapcaster Inquisition something. Or Snapcaster Thoughtseize maybe next turn. Bloodstained Mire gets a Stomping Ground. Inquisition. So they're probably going to take the Snapcaster here. So maybe it's worth it to just Snapcaster Thoughtseize ourselves. Let's do that. Thought Scour ourselves, if I said that wrong. Okay, Inquisition. We'll take a Stubborn Denial. Passing the turn. All right, now we will Thought Scour. Bauble. Not particularly helpful. Where are these threats? Well, we will cast a Bauble. Cast a Delta. Go to combat. My guess is that they'll rip off a Fatal Push here, since there's not many other targets. Does not. Okay, so still 2 Fatal Pushes in hand for our opponent. We are drawing a Snapcaster, which is okay. Maybe we do keep that. Another Inquisition. Okay. Well, he's going to town. Opponent is going to town on our hand. Stubborn Denial down. So we will draw the Snapcaster. Street Wraith. So do we just hard cast a Street Wraith? I kind of think we do. Yeah, an unblockable threat that doesn't die to Fatal Push. I'm going to do it. Getting it with Snapcaster. Street Wraith down. Pushes the Snapcaster. Okay. Redraw off the Peatland. Okay, so 1 Fatal Push down. Hand is Fatal Push and 2 unknowns now. Dark Confidant. Okay, we will have to kill that. Alright, let us remove the Confidant. Okay, go to combat. Get in with an unblockable Street Wraith. So now the question is, do we use a Snapcaster on a Thoughtseize maybe? Or an Inquisition? Or do we keep it up for a removal spell? Let's keep it up and we will see what we can do with it. We'll be more reactive. A Fatal Push isn't a huge deal right now. Okay, now that he's got 3 cards in hand, maybe the way to do this is... Ooh, Colligan's Command's really nice, actually. Okay, so get in with Street Wraith. So, do we Culligan's Command get a shadow back? They do still have... Alright, let's do this. Let's Snapcaster Inquisition to get the Fatal Push out of hand. Alright, Fatal pushes the Snapcaster. Bolt to the face. And now we'll see what the last card is. Bloodbraid. Okay. And now we can Culligan's Command to have him discard the Bloodbraid. And we get back our Shadow. No cards in hand versus a Street Wraith and a Death Shadow. And they scoop it up. That was a very good game. Very intricate. It took us a while to get a threat, and it just happened to be a hard cast Street Wraith. Okay, so against Jund, what do we want? We want... Brutality seems pretty good. Spell Snare seems great, especially against Ren and 6s. And I think we want Lily for lots of recursion. We will just take out the baubles, I think. And yeah, we'll try it like that. Okay, we did have to have a lucky Mold of 5 in that first game, so... Definitely helped us there, especially in an attrition-based matchup like this. Okay, this hand feels great. Double discard, triple discard actually, followed by a Street Wraith. Yeah, followed by a Death Shadow, not a Street Wraith. This feels great. Bloodstained Mire, cracks it. Overgrown Tomb, untapped. Thoughtseize, takes the Inquisition. Sure. Passes the turn. Well, we will do the Thoughtseize. Watery Grave. And untapped. Thoughtseize our opponent. See what 5-card hand they're working with. Abrupt Decay, Bolt, Engineer. Well, the good thing is Brutality is perfect against the Engineer. So I think we'll just take the Abrupt Decay. Yeah, we'll take the Abrupt Decay since it can't be countered. Try to get the most use out of our thoughts, or our Stubborn Denials. Pass to opponent. Rips an Inquisition, which is a very good draw for him. Now he'll have to take this Brutality, most likely. He wants his Engineer to live. Takes a Thought Scour. Interesting. Okay. Bloodstained Mire. Hand is now Engineer, Bolt, and a Fetch. K-Command is great, so we will just play the Delta and leave up a Brutality for next turn. For when the Engineer drops. We could have played a Death Shadow after the shock, but Lightning Bolt would just deal with that. Or the Engineer even. Okay, is not going to play anything. We will draw a Snapcaster, which isn't very useful right now. So we'll play the waiting game a little more. Cracks Bloodstained Mire. Stomping Ground. Intapped. Cracks the Catacombs. Blood Crypt intapped. Okay, so hand is Bolt, Engineer, 2 unknowns. Alright, no action, which is good. Okay, we will cycle Street Wraith. Another Snapcaster. Yikes. Okay, this is not where we want to be. Fetch Shock gets us down to 10, which means Bolt still kills it. We don't want that. Ooh, Fulminator Mage is pretty nasty. Yeah, that's a good draw. Okay. That hurts quite a bit, actually. Another Shadow. Well, actually, I'm going to get down the Snapcaster, I believe. Just to get something going. And if he wants to waste an Engineer on that, that's fine. See what we draw. Oh, we drew the Death Shadow. Right. Okay, pass the turn. Now we're in rough shape because we just can't play anything in our hand. Mountain down. Yeah, Fulminator was definitely their best draw there for sure. Plague Engineer. Names Avatar for the Shadow. Interesting. Okay. Okay, there's a good draw. So now we can... Yeah, we're going to start by getting rid of this Engineer. And making them discard. We will discard Teamer Battle Rage for now. Surgical's Thought Scour. Okay, sure. Double Bolt. Okay. Well, we will take one of them. We'll go to combat. Alright, so they're going to need a big draw here. 1 Bolt in hand. So I think Bloodbraid is their best draw here. Alright, Scalding Tarn. We will play out our shadows. Get in with Snapcasters. Yeah, we're just going to play out our shadows, get the threats down, and see what happens. Opponent scoops it up. Good games, opponent. Very good showing against Jund. We did have to have them stumble a bit in game 1, but nice job, opponent. Good games, and we'll catch you later.